Guys, Pastor Mike, just wanted to first of all give a huge shout out to the many people who helped cover in my absence today. Just know that I'm at home, just not feeling well, but hope to be back with you shortly. There were numerous people who offered to cover and even do this message for me, so it just speaks to the heart of Connection Christian Church and who we are. So thank you so much for your thoughts, your prayers. And we are starting a brand new series today called Tough Love. Now, when I came up with this idea of tough love, I had no idea that the youth ministry is actually doing a similar series. So we might double up on some different topics, but we also might come at it from a very different vantage point. And one of the things that I really want to bring to this is that there are a lot of things in Christianity that really boil down to love. God is love. They will know that we are Christians by our love, right? And we have this idea that love means that we just openly accept anybody, no matter what's going on in the world. And the reality is, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Right? So Jesus, when he stepped in, he said, I am the way, right? What I say, what I do, that's what you need to do. And as disciples, as students, as followers of the way, as we're called in the early church, we follow what Jesus did. And one of the tough love pieces is that you and I need to realize that we don't always measure up, right? Chances are we're never going to measure up. But we need to understand a little something else, that tough love is actually good for us. A little hard life lesson can benefit us in many different ways. And one of the things that I said when I started doing preaching ministry is that I always just wanted to be real. I wanted to be honest and transparent. And to be quite honest, like that is a super, super hard thing to do. It's one thing to admit that you have faults and failures and struggles, that you come from brokenness. And if you've been around Connection very long at all, you've seen stories from my life of brokenness, and I've not tried to hide those, but I'm not always willing to call people out. And maybe that's you, right? If I'm going to be real, sometimes I feel like if I call people out, then maybe they'll leave the church, and it has happened. If I call people out, maybe they won't like me. If I call people out, it'll actually make me feel bad. And so I bear the burden, right? The heavy burden of, yeah, I know that it's not quite right. Yeah, I know that sometimes it didn't measure up. I know that sometimes people are frustrating and disappointing. And so if I just bear that burden, then everything will be okay, right? Because I'm the pastor and everything needs to be all right with me. And quite frankly, that's just not the case. Case in point that throughout this year, it has been an exciting ride, right? To go from in a vision, we talk about what it might look like if we raise support, make disciples, create a place where more people can come in and more people can serve. And in the course of a year, here we are in this facility. This is an amazing place. And as much as I continue to try to say it, we got to make sure that the facility does not become our mission. Over the last year, this facility has become a greater part of my mission, right? Because things need to get done, things need to get accomplished. And so, especially over the last couple months, I have spent a ton of time inside the facility, which means I know who's serving and who's not serving. I know what it takes to get projects done and what things are not maybe going to happen as quick as I'd like. I know that the cost of things is high. I know, the giving that comes along with it, but I try to struggle through that a lot of times on my own effort, right? And maybe there are some things in your life, right, that you claim to be a Christian, you claim to be a follower of the way, but in stark contrast, you're trying to do it under your own power and your own authority. And so I've been kind of on a journey, and the journey is just beginning. And that journey is that I need to abide in Jesus. John 15, if a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit, but apart from me, he can do nothing. I've talked about this passage before. It's come up in several different messages, and I think it's just so hugely important. Why? Because you and I are in a world that is super busy, and it rewards us for our busyness. It rewards us for all the things that we do. And in my situation, I can find validation in what I do for other people. It makes me feel important. It is really a way that I love and serve God. It's an act of worship. But sometimes it can be about me. It can be about the things that I do under my own power, my own authority. And in doing so, I can actually neglect my time with God. And here's the truth of the matter, right? Here's the tough love. You guys, it's enough of saying that we're too busy to read our Bible, that we're too busy to pray. We're too busy to get engaged in other people's lives and to love on them. I think that there's a story in Scripture that kind of hits that, right? The Good Samaritan. The guys who were expected to stop, they didn't stop. They were too busy. They were too bothered. They couldn't be burdened. And in reality, sometimes that's us. We're too busy trying to make a dollar, too busy trying to get ahead, too busy taking care of our kids, too busy chasing the American dream, too busy making sure that they get into the right academic programs, the right athletic programs. And you and I, let's be real, sometimes we are not in a healthy relationship with Jesus. We are claiming Christ, but we are far from abiding. We claim Christ, but we're not following the way. So in reality, it's pretty hard to be a disciple. It's pretty hard to be a follower of the way if, in fact, we're not following the way. So I want to ask you a really difficult question, right? So just think with me for a moment. What are some excuses that you have made? When have you been too busy for Jesus? What excuses are you making so that you're not really connecting with him? Because I know for me, and again, just being real, that I've let this stuff, consume my time. It distracts me from the vision that I need to be casting. It distracts me from the leadership I need to be developing. It distracts me from the disciples that I need to be encouraging. It distracts me from the time I need to be spending with family. It distracts me from the time that I need to be investing, just me and Jesus. And so I'm on this journey over the next year, and this is something that I hope that you see in me, that I will get back to practicing a regular Sabbath. So a Sabbath is just taking a day to recharge with Jesus. And I want to tell you, because the easy thing is, oh man, I need some time away. I need some me time, right? And you probably do. You probably need some me time. The world is crazy. It's busy. But the challenge is sometimes we recharge. Well, we don't. We do the things that we want and the things we don't want, but we're not really spending time with Jesus, who is our power source. I shared with my small group on Wednesday that we had this generator in my science class as I was growing up. And it was kind of a cool thing because you could complete a circuit and hand crank and you could feel the electric current kind of go through you. And if you expanded that and you had other people around you, you could create that circuit in a much bigger way. And it was kind of this electric wave, of just energy going through. And if at any point in time that somebody stepped away, if they broke the circuit, the energy, the electricity wasn't passing through them. And guys, you and I are meant to be a conduit of the Holy Spirit's power to other people. But any time that we let go and break the circuit, other people aren't seeing Jesus clearly in us. So I'm going to ask you again, what's keeping you from connecting with Jesus? Let me ask you another question. What are you willing to do so that you can connect with Jesus better? What is it that you're going to stop doing? Hard question, right? Hard truth. You and I all have things that you and I do that inhibit us from connecting with Jesus. We all have things that we seek out to, self-medicate, to numb ourselves from the busyness, from the chaos that the world brings, from family drama, from financial issues, from our health concerns, through our job, and so much more, right? And maybe you're a binge watcher, right? One show after the next. Maybe you're a gamer. And so you just keep going after that next fix. Maybe that next fix literally is that next endorphin hit that you get from drugs, alcohol, sex, or many other things, right? And we chase after these things in an attempt to feel better about ourselves, but those things aren't the true thing, right? Those things aren't the life. Those are actually a deception of Satan. Not that those are bad things, but when those things become the thing, when those things become our God, then you and I we're chasing the wrong thing, right? And so many times I can chase the wrong thing, right? The number one competitor for God in my life is my spouse. The number two competitor for God's place in my life is doing good things for other people. Well, if I'm going to be honest, and let's be real, the number one competitor for God's position in my life is me. What I want, the way I want, how I want. And so I want to seek what makes me feel good, what makes me feel valid, what makes me feel significant. And sometimes those are chasing pleasure, activities, busyness, even helping other people. And I, in particular, can be so busy doing the things of God that I'm not doing the things that God actually wants me to do. And so here's the reality, right? You and I, the circuit is broken. We don't have the power source running through us, at least not the full magnitude of the power. And so what we try to do is we add other things to it, right? If I can just add a power strip, I will send more power. If I can just connect to a specific device, a specific feeling, a specific energy or person, right? Then I'm going to be able to accomplish more, to feel better. But the only thing that's going to complete that circuit is to get back to Jesus, to abide. And so it'd be crazy, right? You and I, we're not plugged into an outlet, into the power source, yet we continue to add more electronic devices. We add our cell phone charger, we add the TV, right, the desktop computer, the latest fad. Maybe it's not an electric current at all. Maybe it's relationships. Maybe it's busyness. Maybe it's laziness. Right? And we pursue those things. And we just add those things thinking it's going to make us feel better, thinking it's going to allow us to succeed. But in reality, the thing that's going to send that electrical current through your body is to get plugged in, right? To get plugged into Jesus. Now hold on with me for a second, because I'm not saying get plugged into church. I'm not saying get plugged into a small group. I'm not saying that you need to get more busy. I'm actually saying you and I probably actually need to get less busy. So what is it that you need to stop doing so that you actually take the time to connect with Jesus? It's a question I'm asking. What is it, Mike, that you need to do? Where is it, Mike, that you have been seeking your validation, that you've been finding your energy? So many things, right? And if I can just make it to the next stage, right? If I can just get through this season of life, if I can just get through this broken relationship, if I can get just through this workplace trauma, then things will be better. But here's the reality, right? It won't. That hurdle is soon going to be replaced by another hurdle, by another hurdle, by another hurdle. In those steps of faith, man, they get harder. When it comes to looking back to find time and ways and energy to connect with Jesus, it gets harder, not easier. Why? Because the cost gets greater. We have to put a hold on relationships. We have to put a hold on achievements so that we can seek what is most important. Now, here's what we learn from John 15. If you abide in Jesus, you will bear much fruit. If you abide in Jesus, you will bear much fruit. Apart from Jesus, you can do nothing. There's nothing, right? You can't add more to get more fulfillment. We have to connect with Jesus. And too many of us, shooting straight, tough love, too many of us are making too many excuses. And in all reality, we profess Jesus, but we don't measure up. We profess we believe, but we don't care to take the time to actually spend with him. We profess that we're a Christian, that we're following after Jesus, but in reality, it's a hollow form of legalism, a fake religious Christianity that has no heart for Jesus. Somebody once asked me, if you got to heaven and everything was absolutely amazing, but Jesus wasn't there, would that be good enough? If you got there and all there was Jesus, but nothing else, is that enough? Too many times the answer is no. I'm cool without Jesus. I want just enough Jesus to be the seasoning on the top. I want just enough Jesus to save me, but not enough to actually transform me, to change me. But when we abide with Jesus, changes naturally happen. We spend time with the way, and we begin to follow the way, right? It comes from a heart being united with Jesus that leads to transformation. And you see, that's kind of what I've been missing. How about you? So many times, just going through the motions, doing the Jesus things. Going to church, going to a small group, trying to manage, getting to the end of the day and being wiped out, not recharged, not being able to sleep, consumed by thoughts. I was reading a book, a couple of them actually recently, that have been hitting home pretty hard, and maybe that's a reason I chose them. One is by John Mark Comer, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Guys, this is a book that I think all of us would benefit from. The ruthless elimination of hurry. So distracted by the world that we miss the time with Jesus. The other one is The Emotionally Healthy Leader by Pete Scazzero. Man, I just read the intro to this book and I felt so absolutely targeted because I'm trying to lead people. I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to grow people, but I feel not charged. I feel like when I'm empty, people get less of me. I get frustrated easier. Maybe I think I'm hiding it, but let's be real. Those who are close to me know I'm not. And hopefully those who are close to me know that I'm really not trying to hide it. It's a journey that I'm on. But I remember these words coming out of my mouth, that if I can just get through this, then it'll be better. I can't stop. And maybe that's you right now. I can't stop. If I can just get through this, if I can just click. What did we say about the hurdles? More hurdles will come. More busyness will consume you. More opportunities will be before you. Can you stop right now and seek Jesus? Some of you today came to church and you are a Christian. And if anybody looked at your life, they'd be like, oh man, they meet the mark. But you know inside that you're hollow. You know that inside you're empty, you're broken. You've been busy for Jesus, but you've not been busy pursuing Jesus. I want to encourage you to pursue him. For those of you who may be brand new to Connection Christian Church, brand new to the faith, right? You've been trying to figure out, amidst all the brokenness, there's probably something that has led you here to this moment today. The loss of a loved one, the loss of a friendship, a hardship you're facing in life, of many different kinds, right? And in that brokenness, you're like, I've been trying to fix it myself. I've been trying to pursue after these other things. I've been trying to numb the pain, to cope with the madness. And so you're finally there, ready to pursue Jesus. And can I tell you this, right? You don't have to pursue all of the do's and the don'ts. Guys, all those do's and don'ts, those are like adding other things to the surge protector. If they come out of your efforts, if they come out of your hollowness, your brokenness, your lack of energy, all they do is make you more tired. All they do is wear you down. So why is it that Jesus said in Matthew 11, come to me, all you who are burdened and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Right? There are a number of different teachers that we could follow. The world is full of them. The internet is full of them. You can go to any YouTube, any website, and find somebody who's waiting to consume your time and tell you the things that you need to do or not to do. And in all reality, I'm not telling you not to do those things, but do those things come as a relationship with Jesus, a natural overflow in your life? Because if you're simply just trying to do them, man, that is a heavy burden to bear. And that's not the one that Jesus gave us. All of the other teachers, the rabbis, were giving a heavy yoke to their students, their disciples. And Jesus said, hey, I just want you to abide with me. And he took his disciples, and for the next 3 years, they just spent time together. And he showed them what to do and how to behave. And one of the things that is so amazing about Jesus is amidst all of the busyness, all of the people wanting his attention, and you see this multiple times, even once in a crowd where somebody just touched his garment and the power left him and he knew it, right? But the Savior of the world took the time to get away and to recharge. When's the last time that you recharged in Jesus? When's the last time that you read the Bible just to pursue Jesus? Can that be my challenge? Right? That you and I would just take that time, set it apart. Stop saying I'm too busy. Stop saying, yeah, I've been meaning to, I've been wanting to, I really should do this, and actually take the time. Right? Maybe it's in the morning, maybe it's in the evening. Maybe you have a nap time opportunity in the afternoon, not for you, for the kids. Now you get to be in the presence of Jesus. I'm going to read to you a couple more passages. This is coming from Matthew chapter 7. In it, Jesus is delivering his most lengthy sermon in Scripture, the Sermon on the Mount. And he says in verse 15, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. You will recognize them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes, or figs from thistles? So every healthy tree bears good fruit, but the diseased tree bears bad fruit. A healthy tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a diseased tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus you will recognize them by their fruits. As I know that this passage is talking about false teachers, right? That you're going to know if somebody actually follows Jesus by the things that they say? No, by the things that they do. Right? Because if they are connected, if they abide in Jesus, you're going to see it naturally by the things that come in their life. So when other people see you, what fruit do they see? What persona do you give off? Is it tired, irritable, crabby, overwhelmed, anxious? They see the fruit of Jesus. Galatians 5. For the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. Guys, sometimes that's not me. And if I'm willing to bet, sometimes that's not you either. Now, maybe you put on a good show. On the outside, it looks like everything's together. You've got your church clothes, right? But deep inside, you know that you're not abiding with Jesus. And so it's easy to get agitated. It's easy to be impatient. It's easy to be judgmental. and not to really be caring. But I think it's impossible when we abide with Jesus, when we spend time with Jesus, to not look and act like Jesus. And so when he says the most important command is this, to love the Lord your God with all of your heart, all of your soul, all of your mind, all of your strength, right? When we do that, it will naturally flow into commandment number 2, which is the bonus, right? That you should love your neighbor as you love yourself. Right? Sometimes it's so hard to love ourselves, but when we abide in Jesus, his love can flow over us and through us, and we become a conduit that reaches out to other people. And the love of Christ cannot be hidden because it overflows from us, right? And we become naturally a producer of good fruit. But whenever we chase after the fruit, when we try to do it, it's empty. You can fake it, right? You can probably pull the wool over my eyes. The people in your workplace probably got them fooled. Maybe your mom and dad, your kids, right? You think that you've got them fooled, but God looks to the heart. So where's your heart? Where are you spending your time at? Guys, this might be a tough love thing. You need to stop. I need to stop chasing after the things of God, chasing after the things of the world, and just spend time with God. Allow the love of Jesus to consume me and move through me. Imagine what the world would be like. Imagine what our community would be like if you and I got off the throne of busyness and spent time with Jesus. Imagine what your family would look like, your marriage would look like, if you were more like Jesus, not on the outside, but flowing from the inside out. Gosh, I think the world would be a much better place. I think that marriages would be restored, that kids would grow up with parents who just couldn't help but love them, encourage them, and build them up. And it would also lead to a place where heaven is more full, that we're all looking forward to Jesus and not the Amazon delivery, right? Not the next big high or the next relationship, but instead we're looking forward to the presence of Jesus. Is that you? Is that you? Will you join me on this journey to abide with Jesus and bear more fruit? And if not, what are you doing? What are you doing? Is this where you want to spend your time? Learning about Jesus, but not pursuing him? Maybe it's just me, but there's some tough love.